business viability. On the expense and business transition side of production agriculture, we can't overlook the availability of preventative health care coverage and high health insurance costs for ag producers. Health insurance costs have significant negative impacts on farm profitability and potentially restrict farm transitions to the next generation. The Citizens League of Minnesota recently reported that Minnesota farmers pay an average of double the price for health insurance coverage as compared to the rest of the state, and as a result, farmers have started to drop coverage, and that percent has increased of farmers without health insurance coverage from 7% to 15% over the last decade. A cooperative option is available, assuming that the State Department of Commerce approves the pilot program beginning in 2011. Do you support a cooperative health insurance option for Minnesota's agricultural community, and if so, what steps would you take as governor to make sure the program succeeds?
Well, I do support the cooperative model. I've looked at that report and seen what Wisconsin has done. I think it's a promising thing. I know firsthand what this means. When I was growing up, 16 of us were supported by our small family farm. And definitely health care was one of the issues that started to cause significant pressure. All of my sister-in-laws who were partners in farming needed to go get those town jobs so they could get health insurance. You all know what I'm talking about. And what we need to do here is we need to do a few things. I'm supportive of this cooperative model. I think the Department of Commerce should approve it. It's an important thing. But we also need to bring the federal dollars home to the state of Minnesota that are going to stabilize our hospitals and clinics. It'll be the first thing I do after taking the oath of office, to bring early MA home to the state. You know what it means locally here? It means $1.6 million to Rice Memorial in Wilmer. It means $1.1 million to the Marshall hospitals and clinics. It means almost $1 million to New Ulm Medical Center. That's significant. We need to do it. We need to bring those tax dollars home.
Minnesota will be a state in which everyone has access to low-cost, high-quality health care through the private sector. And we have to make that commitment, and we have to deliver on it. And Minnesota has a pretty good head start, in part because we put in good programs, in part because we have some good policies, and in part because we have innovation, including this cooperative idea, which I do support. But we also have done some terribly dumb things. Look at how the legislature fumbled the ball on the health care program for the lowest income Minnesotans, GAMC. They left a lot of people high and dry without coverage. And then those few people who are going to be able to get care, they dump them off onto rural hospitals, and so now the rural hospitals are going to be challenged. We can't afford to do dumb things. We have a good base of health care in Minnesota in the private sector. We need to keep building on that.
Tom Emmer. Absolutely, we have to attack this issue, not only for our farm families, farm corporations in Minnesota, but for all business across the state and all our citizens. First, very myopic view when you say you want to opt into another federal program. Perhaps rather than saying we need to bring those tax dollars home, we should start talking about why we're sending as many as we are. It also is myopic from the standpoint that you're going to spend $430 million, and by the way, folks, we're $5 to $7 billion in the hole already. You're going to spend that out over the first 3 years. It's a bad program because Minnesota has succeeded based on high-quality care at low cost, and the government, the federal government, will only reward you based on volume of care. It's totally against what the state of Minnesota believes in and what we've created. You want to solve this problem, you do 3 quick things. 1, you give tax deductibility to the individual just like businesses. 2, you allow people to put greater pooling options. 3, you allow them to tailor the coverage they need to their needs. And 4, you allow them to purchase across state lines. You will start to bring down costs. You will make it available to that 15% that right now feels they can't afford it.
You know, Tom, selling Arkansas health insurance policies in Minnesota is not going to cut it. Let me tell you, those Arkansas and Mississippi and Alabama-related policies are not going to provide us health care coverage here. Those are stripper policies. Those are policies to tell you, oops, you're pregnant, I guess you're not going to get covered. That's not the solution. Nor is it the solution to do what we've seen Governor Polini do this last year when we saw tens of thousands of folks who had general assistance medical care get tossed off. Now, let me tell you, in rural Minnesota, there's no hospitals that'll take them now. And where do they wind up going? They're going to wind up going to the ER. And who pays for that? We pay for that. Because the hospitals are required to take them in, and of course, we would not want these folks to just die by the side of the road, and then it gets shifted onto the rest of our healthcare policy. Now, Tom, you have a good idea in the sense we need to create greater pools. Absolutely. Farmers are getting stiffed right now. You should be able to join big pools as opposed to being picked off one by one with $10,000 deductibles. But I believe that the solution is things like cooperatives. Let's pull everybody together. We've gone too slow in Minnesota, and the state hasn't been a partner in that. And then let's make sure that the private sector is forced to compete so we get the lowest possible prices so our farmers get taken care of.